92.3 Nigeria Info and Herringport Harker to number one talk news and sport radio station. I'm Dio. It's 15 gone past 3 p.m. The show is Hat Facts. Usually comes away Mondays through Fridays, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. However, yesterday, and I do believe today's edition as well, will end at about 4 p.m. End at about 4 to make way for the sports gang who will be in the studio to bring you all the updates and live action from the ongoing Euro 2020 tournament. We've got games coming up today. As yesterday, England taking on Germany. Stand match for the game, no doubt, today. Kick-off at 5 p.m. Sweden take on Ukraine at 8 p.m. in the latest round of 16 games. The sports camp will be in the studio from about 4:15 p.m. or thereabouts to bring you all the action and analysis from those matches. So do stay tuned. So today's show, as yesterday, will end at about 4 p.m. You're welcome once again. Many thanks for joining. I do hope you had yourselves a brilliant day today. Now, yesterday, I'd been away for a while, so I resumed yesterday. Didn't have a rant yesterday, did not. As I did mention at the start yesterday, I'd been away for a bit. I was off the grid somewhat news-wise, and thank you very much for bringing me up to speed and getting me updated as far as happenings in the country are concerned. Now, today, I did have a rant prepared for today's show, at least for this hour. And I was personally looking forward to it, as I imagine you may have as well. But recent developments have negated that preparation for today's edition of the show, as we're discussing in this hour, no doubt, what I presume might very well be the biggest trending news story in the country at the moment. And after all, we're your number one talk news and sports station. Well, you may have heard about it already, but here is the version from the Vanguard newspaper, and it's captioned, Court remands IPOB leader Kanu in DSS custody, fixes July 26 for resumption of trial. Now, here's that story from the Vanguard. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday remanded the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, in the custody of the Department of State Services DSS. Now, Trial Justice Bintan Yako gave the remand based on an application that was brought before the federal government. Brought by the federal government. Now, Justice Nyako ordered that Kanu, who was arrested outside the country by Interpol and brought back to the country on Sunday, should remain in custody till July 26, when his trial will resume. Now, the court proceeding took place barely 50 minutes after the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami SAN, disclosed to journalists that Kanu had been arrested. Malami addressed the press in company of the IG of Police and spokesman of the DSS, Dr. Peter Afinaya, and kept silence on where Kanu was arrested. He, however, disclosed that Kanu will be tried on charges bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, unlawful possession of firearms, and management of an unlawful society. He alleged that it was his inciting broadcast that led to loss of lives and destruction of property in the southeast region of the country. Meanwhile, the IPOB leader was brought to court on Tuesday by heavily armed security operatives from both the DSS and the Nigerian police force. You might remember that the trial court had on March 28, 2019 issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the IPOB leader after it revoked the bail that was earlier granted to him. And placing reliance on Section 352, Sub 4 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, the court equally okayed Kanu's trial in absentia. Kanu, whose whereabouts was unknown since September 2017, was hitherto entering into a 5-count charge FG entered against him and 3 other pro-Biafra agitators, Chidebere, Benjamin and David. And shortly after he was declared missing, Trial Justice Nyako in February 2018 okayed separate trials for the other 3 defendants. The IPOB leader, who's got dual citizenship, was before his arrest on Sunday reportedly sighted at various locations outside the country, including Jerusalem and the UK. Now, the implications of this, especially from a legal standpoint and what we might experience going forward, legally speaking as well, is what we're discussing in this hour. And joining me via phone, past president of the NBA, Amak Branch, and associate professor of public law, Rivers State University, Barrister Ritchard Wokocha, joins me via phone. Barrister Wokocha, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dario. Good afternoon.
Let's start with the arrest. Let's start from there. Reports have it that he was arrested outside the country by Interpol. Let's start with that. How exactly does that work? Can a sovereign nation, Nigeria in this case, arrest an individual, a citizen, for example, in this case the IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, in another country, in another sovereign state, as has been reported, and if that's possible, as has happened in this case, what's the mechanism for that?
Yes, very, very possible. The Interpol, as you know, is a coalition of police of all nations, international police of Israel, which is a coalition of all police stations in all nations, or rather, the police in all nations. So without international cooperation, yes, where there is evidence of an offense, and in this case, he was already on trial in a state trial, and while he was in that situation, was committing some other crimes, or allegedly committing some other crimes that were going on in the country. It would be a difficult thing for that to be a matter which the Interpol can handle or deal with. So with that cooperation, international cooperation, yes, the suspect can be picked up from many countries and extradited to his own country the way they have done.
Oh, let's talk about the trial that he was, or the matters he was standing trial for before he reportedly absconded and fled the country since about 2017 when he was released on bail. And even though that bail was revoked because he allegedly broke the terms or violated the terms of that bail, he was nowhere to be found. Now, what are the implications of that for Nnamdi Kanu, the trial he was standing before and supposedly jumping bail? What does that mean for him legally now?
What it means legally is to be extremely difficult for any court to try to trust him again with granting of bail. So his trial is going to go on the state. His trial is going to go on from where he stopped, and the candidate has no court to grant him bail to the end of the trial now. Having achieved the last one.
Does this imply that the trial the trial that was going on before is going to continue now, from whatever point it ended before his jumping bail?
Oh yes. This trial will go on. What we will likely expect is that there will be more charges brought relating to other offences that he has allegedly committed.
We'll come to that in a moment. But is there going to be any punitive measures, any punishment for having jumped bail? Is there any implication for that?
Jumping bail is an offense, but what is the punishment? It's telling you bail or telling you will still be included in your trial with no one. So the consequence of that jumping on bail is that it's not going to get another bail. No court will in the circumstance agree to grant him bail.
Now, does this let off the hook the person or persons who stood shorty for him when he was granted bail on the first occasion?
Yeah. Somehow, yes, because the position is that they took him with the guarantee that they will produce him to stand trial. Not producing him render them liable to the state for being unable to keep the terms of the guarantee that they made, pursuant to which the court released him on bail to them. But since it is back now, I think the gentleman had stated the fact that there was a raid on his house, and so that whatever was happening, his absence and all that, was a function of action of the state, and that they cannot be held responsible for what was caused by the state. I think that's what I read was their defense as well. But since he's been rearrested, it's most likely that they will be let off the hook. Because if the argument then makes sense, it will make sense now. So it will mean they are let off the hook and the trial will proceed from there.
Now, talking about charges that he may have to answer for now, no doubt, as you have also clearly spelled out, he does have matters that he was to answer for before he jumped bail sometime in 2017. But based on comments credited to the Attorney General, and back to the story from the Vanguard, Malami, who addressed the press in company of the IG of Police and spokesman of the DSS, while keeping silent on his whereabouts, disclosed that Kanu would be tried on charges bordering on terrorism, treasonable felony, unlawful possession of firearms, and management of an unlawful society. He alleged that it was his inciting broadcast that led to loss of lives and destruction of properties in the southeast region of the country. Now, does this suggest that the federal government is considering fresh charges against him beyond what he was being tried for as at 2017?
You can be sure that that will happen. It's easy to see the kind of charges are going to come, or the kind of offences that will be further brought into the trial. You remember that the formation of ESN took place after he had jumped bail. Now, that activity in itself has a legal consequence. And then the instructions that he allegedly made, orders and directives that he gave, and what has followed that, based on all fronts of persons and those obeying his instructions, as well as the major bases that have been changed. All of this definitely raise legal issues that will have consequences on the trial. So, definitely, fresh charges are going to be, or additional charges are going to be brought to the trial process.
Without attempting to determine what the outcomes of these matters might be in court, how successful do you think the federal government might be in proving their case if this, fresh charges are brought before the court, considering that it can be argued, or may be argued, Nnamdi Kanu himself did not personally take part in these activities? Because that might suggest that he's being held responsible for the actions or activities of other persons. And a lot of these allegations, by the way, have been denied by his organization.
This is not a good time to be his lawyer. Whatever would have been defense that they had prior to this time, prior to jumping there, the activities that have taken place after this, instructions he gave on which are on video plates and on airwaves, recorded on airwaves and all of that, I think would be difficult to explain for those who will hold us the position of that defense of his not being part of it. His link with the organization and his summon to them to start, and he talked about how powerful they are going to be and how they are going to prosecute the cause that he was pursuing. As well as instructions, there are several video clips in which he was speaking, and video clips of meetings in which he has also made a selective incriminating statement and all of that. I don't think it's a fine day for his defense.
No, is it possible in any way at all that his rights may have been violated? And I'm speaking as regards his rearrest. Now, here's the basis on which I'm asking that question. Because severally in the past, when even matters as high profile of this, the arrest or extradition of some person from a country to another, you have trials take place in the country where the arrest or the extradition is to be made from, as to whether or not that individual can be extradited, and the person would argue or put up a defense as to why they should not be sent back to the country that's requesting the arrest. But there's no report that any such trial or took place wherever it was he was arrested, and there was no report that he put up any kind of defense as against his extradition to Nigeria. So might those questions arise at some point, do you suppose?
An appeal is a different process. Remember that in Nnamdi Kanu's case, he did not seek shelter elsewhere. He is a citizen there. So if there is evidence and due process must have been followed through the interview, ensuring that I was showing that the standing trial is what in that country of this, and that he has allegedly committed an offense. In fact, the fact that he's standing trial means that there is a legal process that is on, and he has legal process to answer elsewhere, which is on, and he just there. And then coupled with the fact that some other activities have taken place, saying that while he is in this country, he committed an offense in another country, he will be made available to answer for the activities in another country, to commit an offense in another country. That is the whole essence of the interface and the international crime investigation.
Well, this
So
juncture,
his life has not been violated.
at this juncture, feel free to join the conversation. If you will, the lines are officially open right now. 0817 93 0002, 0817 93 0003, and 0817 93 0007. I suppose we're live on Facebook, Twitter as well. Facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH, on Twitter @Nigeria Info PH. WhatsApp is on 0809 030 6416. We're discussing, as captioned by the Vanguard newspaper, court remands IPOB leader Kanu in DSS custody, fixes July 26 for resumption of trial. Barrister, do you estimate that we might be witnessing a speedy trial as far as this matter is concerned, or do you think it might stretch for a long period of time?
Well, there is no law guaranteeing what the timeline will be unless the court makes an order for expedited hearing on the application of any party and all that the repair are available, including in self-defense. It is a standard Nigerian trial. It cannot be factored on user. However, it will depend on, as I said, availability of witnesses and activities of trial and then the self-defense and what they refer to from self-defense. It will not, I don't expect it to be one of those cases that will last a year or for many years. I think issues are a bit narrowed now, and a bit narrowed down, and I believe that it won't last for too long. I see the trial possibly ending with this.
Pardon me? You see the trial what?
I see the trial possibly ending within 6 months.
All right, I've got telephone lines right now. I've got Kel from Wokocha in the line. Kel, you're welcome. Please go ahead.
Hello, Dayo. Good evening.
Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, welcome back. We missed you, though.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think I believe that it's actually a good move. It's a good move that he's been rearrested. Maybe the court will prove whether he's guilty or not, but he's been rearrested. And I think one of the mistakes I will make at this point is to start saying whether the president will arrest Fulanis and all that. I think that particular mentality is something we need to change. I mean, one crime should not justify another crime. If there's a criminal in the Southeast and in court, we should ensure that that person is punished. And then before, we don't just start saying immediately, okay, you should also catch it in the north and all that. So for me, it's a good move, and we just hope that the federal government should be able to prove their case, and then it should be properly punished. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome, Kel. Now, Barrister, a question for you. I mean, it has been argued, rightly or wrongly, in several quarters, that a reason for the unrest in certain parts of the country might likely be linked to the whole Nnamdi Kanu debacle, right from when he was arrested initially to the trial, to the jumping bail, and all of that. That said, no doubt the person of Nnamdi Kanu evokes a lot of emotions in different parts of the country, especially in the eastern part of the country. It may be argued as well that some persons have resorted to anti-state activities because of the influence that he wields in them. That said, is it advisable for the federal government to be making this arrest and pursuing these charges or fresh charges against him, or a trial for that matter? Would that be in the best interest of the nation? Did you get my question?
Yes, I got your question. Will it be in the first instance? Yes, it will. You know, I have over and over said the only way to respond to breach of the law is to invoke the law. Either establish the guilt of a person or set the person free if the person is found to be innocent. No matter what happens in reaction, that will not affect the legal process. A call to insurrection is easy, looking at our laws. So if a person is alleged to have made such reasonable calls, proper thing is to determine through the court whether or not he has committed an offense. And the fear of a possible reaction should not stop a state, a sovereign state, from following the process and doing whatever has to be done. So I do not think things can be worse than they have been in the circumstance.
How about concerns that he may not get a fair trial, considering, once again, as I did mention, the mere mention of his name does spark a lot of reaction and ignites emotions in different parts of the country, especially in the East. And considering that his position, obviously, that calls for secession and breakup of the country, especially the southeastern part of the country from the rest of the nation, is not a popular one with the federal government, no doubt about that, and maybe with a cross-section of other Nigerians. How about fears that he may not get a fair trial? Is that something? Is that substantive?
No, that will not justify that fear. Judges are trained for this purpose. It's the responsibility of a judge to deal with the facts that are before him, weigh them against the law, and decide according to the law what the justice of the situation is. So I think that judges are trained to insulate themselves from all the impressions and all of that are going on in the society. It will not be enough that there is tumult in society. A judge will act according to the letters of the law and on the basis of the facts that are presented before him. I don't think that the fact that the name evokes all kinds of sentiments and animosity all around the country will cause him not to have a fair trial. The federal government will not handle the trial. It's a properly trained judge is in charge, and that's what judges are trained for all over the world. In fact, last week, persons were convicted who participated in the last days of Trump's attempt to stop the Congress from approving the election of the incumbent president of the United States. Despite whatever impressions and whatever sensitivities that existed, the judge clearly stated that it is the law, that he's acting based on the law and the facts that are before him. So it will be the same thing. Judges are trained to conduct trials. Trials require insulation from whatever is happening in the state and the court of public opinion. They will depend on what the law says and the facts that are presented before them as facts emerging from the actions of the accused person. So I do not think that that alone will be an assurance that he will not get a fair trial. No.
All right, join the conversation once again. The numbers are the same. Lines are open: 0817 93 0002, 0817 93 0003, 0817 93 0007. We're live on Twitter and Facebook at Nigeria Info PH. WhatsApp on 0809 030 6416. The matter once again. Court remands IPOB leader Kanu in DSS custody. Fixes July 26 for resumption of trial. You can find details on the Vanguard and I do presume other dailies as well. Reports have it that he was arrested outside the country by Interpol, brought back to the country on Sunday, and also he will remain in custody till July 26 when his trial will resume based on an order delivered by Justice Binta Nyako. I guess Barrister Ritchard Wokocha has joined me via phone. Let's get your take as well via the usual platforms. Now, Barrister, how about the concerns? I don't know if I presume you may have heard from the comment of the previous caller on the show, who did echo, even though he disagreed with it, or rather he referenced the opinions of maybe not a few persons that Nnamdi Kanu may not be the person who's committed the biggest crime in the country, and there are other individuals as well, and they're wondering why these other persons have not been arrested, or why it appears to them that the federal government isn't going after these individuals with the seeming verve and vigor which they've gone after Nnamdi Kanu. Your response to that?
The question is, shall I say unknown to law, it has no consequence to the law. Yes, they raise serious moral issues. The federal government should be still making the same effort, and I hold the same opinion that the same effort should be still being made. Let's be specific about actors in the north, in the insurrection there that has led to the death of so many people, both members of the armed forces and citizens that have been killed. We expect to see the same level of ferocity and the same level of commitment that was shown in dealing with this particular insurrection. And that in that older world, we expect to see that. I agree. But it doesn't justify the question, why is this one being pursued? The position is that government has a responsibility to rein in on all criminal activities that are going on in the country. And it's of no moment to say, why has this one been arrested, why the other one has not been arrested. There is no provision of law or morality that says if you see a suspect or one who is alleged to have committed a crime, hold on, don't arrest him yet until you arrest all other people who committed a similar crime. That's why I said the question is of no moment, or it has no legal value.
Well, we've got 18 minutes to go before 4 p.m. Business News is up at 4. I've got Richard on the line from Choba. Richard, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Dario, good afternoon.
Hello, Richard. You're welcome. Go on.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu. I think it's the right thing. I think that's a step in the right direction by the federal government. And I'm also of the opinion that the same vigor, just like the Honorable Barrister said, used to go after others that have committed crimes in Nigeria. So the Eastern people don't feel that, okay, this is a loop-sided stuff. Taking the case of NSAS as an example, where we had about military people being on ground, oh, they are not on ground, oh, they shot, oh, they didn't shoot, oh, okay, it was blank bullets, and all sort of stuff. Stuff like that should be taken up, because this is not about the Eastern or anybody. This is the youths of Nigeria. We should know what really happened. Until date, nothing has really come up to justify the killing of the people on NSAS protest. So I think it is a step in the right direction, but we should take it to the level where it won't be seen as witch hunting to any part of the country. That's my submission to this. Thank you very much.
Richard, you're welcome. Barrister, I asked you this about. I asked you about this just a while ago, but furthermore to that question or to that issue, does it have any bearing at all on the possible outcome of this case?
Absolutely no bearing. As I said, the responsibility of the court is to look at the charge brought before it, look at the law and the facts established, where they are established against the accused person, and determine where he stands on the scale of the law and justice. What happens outside completely has no value in the process.
Oh, I've got a question here via WhatsApp. It's from Peter. It says, hello, Di. How come Nnamdi Kanu was arrested since Sunday and is just making the news today? And Peter is asking if it's government propaganda. And I'll let you respond. Okay, you can respond to that quickly, please. Might there be any logical explanation to why the arrest was made on Sunday or since Sunday and it's just been made public now?
DSS and Interpol activities are supposed to be not public until they make announcements. So that they have done. And from the clip you read from the newspaper that was just said now, it appears it's not propaganda, because it's about the storyline is about the man being in court and the reportage of what transpired in court in Nigeria on Tuesday, which is So I think it is propaganda and it's completely in order. It's not surprising because the activity is covered.
All right, Buchi from Obiako joins the conversation. Buchi, welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Dayo.
All right, go on.
It was actually shocking reading the news that Kanu was arrested. That's the last thing that I expected would happen. However,
shocking why?
If he's deemed to have broken the law, he should do the time. But what I'm saying is that there are other equally more dangerous criminals roaming all over the country. Now, in the morning, your news station told us that the herdsmen have invaded other communities. And the spokesperson for the community said that they are depending on the state the Northerners have in River State to make sure they do not do anyhow here. So, I'm also asking that government should, with the same vigor, arrest these Fulani herdsmen menace. Because it's all these menace that is giving followership to people like Nnamdi Kanu. If there was justice, if there was fairness, Kanu won't have followership he has today. So let him step in and also stem insecurity all over the country. Then it will be deemed that the government is being fair and treat all sections of the country equally. That's my own take. Thank you.
You're welcome, Buchi. Also, Kelvin from GRA. Good afternoon. You're welcome. Go on.
Good afternoon. My issue with this thing is that by arresting Nnamdi Kanu, I think they will just aggravate the whole Biafra struggle.
Awesome.
Because right now he's getting a lot of traction, a lot of he's in the news. People who are careless about this stuff, everybody is now Nnamdi Kanu, Biafra. It will even get international recognition. It will give him more popularity, more power. The same thing happened in Nelson Mandela, where people go after you, but ultimately it's for your own good. I think it's a wrong move by the federal government. This is an ideology. It's beyond Nnamdi Kanu. We are going to be killing Nnamdi Kanu today. Somebody who is even more deadly possibly could take over the reins.
So Kelvin,
I think they're tackling from the wrong angle.
Kelvin, can you hear me?
You understand?
So Kelvin, so what if I do appreciate the position, but what if he has committed a crime or crimes? Are you saying that is entirely irrelevant?
No. Let's face it. We all know that the eastern part of this country, they're not getting as much privileges as the northern side.
Kelvin, answer the question, please. So what if he has committed a crime or crimes? Are you suggesting that is irrelevant?
Yeah, in this context, it depends on what you're referring to as crime.
No, crime is not contextual. The crime is listed clearly in our laws. What if he has broken our laws? Are you saying that's irrelevant?
Well, he was fighting a just cause, if you ask him. He was fighting for the emancipation, for the freedom of the eastern part of Nigeria. That's his fight, because Nelson Mandela was considered a criminal too when he was fighting for blacks. They termed him a criminal, but he was fighting a just cause. So it depends on context. That's what I'm saying. You understand?
All right, Kevin. Join the conversation as well. We still got a few minutes to go before 4 o'clock. I've got Chris from Artillery. Chris, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Honorable Peter. Let me talk about the matter concerning Nnamdi Kanu.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, cool. Let's see. Via WhatsApp, finally, the prescribed IPOB leader has been arrested. Let the law take its full course. Barrister, I asked you about this a while ago. Does it matter that, or should it be something that should be considered by the government, whether it's Nnamdi Kanu or any other person assuming similar popularity, to possibly overlook if crimes have been committed because they do not want an escalation of a security situation?
Once crime has been committed, it shouldn't matter who is involved. In fact, government has the responsibility to respond by activating the law on reaction to criminal conduct. There should be investigation, there should be prosecution if necessary. It shouldn't matter what anybody thinks, what anybody will feel, and what influence it will give the person. Yes, if he is proven guilty and it is some of years. And that is some of years. He comes out and he enjoys the influence that he has gotten from what he does, what he did that led to his being in prison. But nothing should justify not implementing the law, because that is how we got to where we are today.
Well, we've got Victor on the line from Element. Victor, hi, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon.
Go on, Victor.
I have just one question to ask. It's like anything that comes on this heat, it raised us so much. My question now is, the same intelligent officer that can trace Nnamdi Kanu all the way from Nigeria to such environment to pick him up, why can't we put the same effort to get those Boko Haram this thing for a decade?
Victor, the environment. Victor, if you can hear me.
And this is not.
All right, Victor is not listening. Victor, if you're still listening via radio set, I imagine your question may not be inappropriate. Maybe it's appropriate, but a quick attempt to help your question. Nnamdi Kanu wasn't exactly in hiding. So identifying his location may not have been the most difficult thing in the world. I mean, he has made public appearances, as in the report I read to you a while ago, in Jerusalem, in the UK. So his location may not have been the most difficult thing, but getting him arrested may have been the more cumbersome task. But identifying where he was located may not have been difficult. In the case of Boko Haram, you are fighting terrorists. It's an asymmetric war. They are in hiding. They're not publicly announcing their location. So getting them, or especially getting to their leaders or their sponsors, might be, or definitely would be, a more difficult task compared to identifying Nnamdi Kanu's location. I think that might adequately explain that. Via WhatsApp, I'm an Igbo man, though I'm not his fan or in support of his agitation. The law must take its course, but the federal government should not witch hunt any particular group. All criminals and sponsors of criminal activities in Nigeria should be treated the same. Mark from Non-Watai said that. And do I have time for another call? Maybe I do. Let's take Solomon from Air Force. Solomon, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Good evening or good afternoon, Dio.
Oh, go on.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
For me, if Nnamdi Kanu has committed a crime, he should serve his time. I think I don't buy the polarization of the matter of he's from the east, he's from the north. I think we generally, as Nigerians, we have a serious problem, So I think he should serve his time. The law should take its course. He should be given a fair trial. The federal government should come out with facts. If they don't have facts against him, they should let him go. Let him continue his agitation. But if they have facts against him, he should go in for it. I think that's my own take.
All right, Solomon, good to hear from you as well. Via what time? Good Adedayo. Sentiment apart, Nnamdi Kanu is a fugitive, and relevant sections of the law must be applied. Imagine the lives of our armed men. He's instigated their termination by his foot soldiers. Let him face the law. That's from Solomon. Barrister, can Nnamdi Kanu be referred to as a fugitive at this time, since he's not been convicted of any crime in any court, at least not in Nigeria, to the best of my knowledge?
Yeah, a fugitive is a person who is on the run from the law. Since he was standing trial and he jumped bail, at the point where he jumped bail, he became a fugitive. Because he was on the run from the law.
All right, I'd say. So, how do you suppose the proceedings or things might proceed going on from here? I think his trial is to commence July. Now, since there was a matter that was on before that he was, or several, I think it was a 5-count charge at the previous trial. How do you suppose the federal government might want to approach this going forward? Are they going to want to conclude with the previous proceeding, get to some logical conclusion before putting forward fresh charges, or do you suppose that, and is there a possibility of merging the fresh charges with the previously existing ones?
Because of the relationship of the offense, I suspect that, or I expect that at the next date, the federal government will come up with some amendments to the charges, or substitution of the charges before the court to include the other allegations that are, since they are based in the same cost and transaction as the first one.
And you're envisaging that this might be a speedy trial to wrap up in about 6 months?
I believe it will be a speedy trial. I believe that this trial can end in 6 months.
All right. Would he be? Would he have the opportunity of appealing whatever the decision of the court might be?
Oh yes. The entire time frame we are talking about is for the trial at the Federal High Court where it's going on now. What happens on appeal is post outcome of this trial. So that's a different ball game. But we expect this trial to be speedy enough to end in the next 6 months.
And do you suppose we're likely to see a trial in open court where proceedings are going to be made public and journalists might report?
Yes, that is the law. That is the law, and I expect it's expected it to be in open court. I'm sure that the trial you reported today was in open court.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so it will be an open court.
But a very quick, a slight digression. What circumstances would require a trial to take place in a closed court?
Perhaps circumstances where the subject matter before the court will be one that will do harm to the country if they are divulged in public, and where the interest of the person that requires to be protected by the law, like a very young person, is involved. And in some other cases, not in criminal trials, but in civil transactions, some marriage-related matters and divorce may also be capable of being taken in chambers or taken in camera if the need arises. For criminal trials, perhaps only where what is an issue and evidence and all that will be talked about and then other issues that will compromise the security of the state.
But you don't see any of those factors present in this
No,
scenario?
No, I don't see any of them. There is nothing I see. There is nothing in this case I see that is going to require the disclosure of official secrets of the Nigerian state. So I do not see this falling within that category. There will be no need for secret trial.
All right, Barrister Wokocha, many thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, Barry.
Barrister Ritchard Wokocha is former President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Amak Branch, and Associate Professor of Public Law at the Rivers State University. Barrister Wokocha, once again, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, Barry. Former chairman.
Oh, former chairman, pardon me.
The NBA has one president.
Pardon me, thank you.
Pardon.
We've got just about a minute to go before top of the hour, 4 p.m. at 4. The business news comes up, and we have a commercial break. The sports gang will be in right after that to open up proceedings as far as today's round of 16 Euro 2020 games are concerned. England takes on Germany at 5 p.m. Sweden also are against Ukraine by 8 p.m. Details, analysis, and live commentaries, of course, 90.3 Nigeria Info and here in Port Harcourt. Do stay with us.